This weekend, Joann Fabric and Craft Stores is heating things up with the winter warm-up sale. Enjoy incredible doorbusters like 70% off anti-pill fleece prints and solids, 50% off keepsake calico prints, and up to 40% off decorative storage. Before shopping, go to Joann.com and get a coupon for an extra 20% off your total purchase. Regular and sale-priced items included, exclusions apply. The savings are hot with the winter warm-up sale going on now through Monday only at Joann Fabric and Craft Stores.
Blog Talk Radio.
Just for the day I won't pick up, just for the day I don't give up, just for the day I won't pick up, and God I trust I won't pick up, just for the day I won't pick up, just for the day in God I trust, just for the day I won't pick up, and God I trust I don't give up. Yo, you can go and tell the weed man, he ain't got nothing that I need, man. I ride by that ABC store saying, hey, you won't be seeing me no more. Yo, you can go and tell the trap boy, yo, it's a rap boy. You are not welcome in me, casa. You ain't got nothing for me, nada. No matter how hard life hits, I know where my light is. Yo, no matter how hard the crisis, yo, I know who Christ is. Yo, no matter what I won't pick up. Yo, no matter what I won't pick up. No matter what I won't pick up. Yeah, no matter what I won't pick up. Just for the day. No matter what I won't pick up.
Welcome, listeners. Welcome back to the Recovery Just for Today show. I'm your host, Lloyd B. And normally I'm on with my co-host and father, Lloyd Sr. And this is the show, Recovery Just for Today, for those who are maybe struggling with addiction, and those who may have loved ones who are also struggling with addiction. We like to be a resource for family members, and also for those who may still be suffering. We dedicate this show to those who are still in the struggle with addiction, but we also like to provide resources in the community and abroad, to help people with the struggle. So today's show, we do have a guest on today, and this guest is a friend of mine. His name is Don Miller. He is the host of Miller on the Mic on Love 860. Atlanta's inspirational talk radio, and he is a very busy man in the community, and he's been helping people for quite some time. And I was telling him, as I was looking over some of the things in his bio today, I was kind of surprised at how long he's been doing this and what he's been doing, for the community and people. Youth and adults to help people. He is a licensed mental health therapist, and he's the CEO of Young, Bold, and Unique LLC, which is a youth and consulting agency. And I'm going to let him tell a little bit about that later on in the show. He's also an author and a poet. And so I wanted him on because he actually works with a lot of youth and adult in the areas of chemical dependency, mental health, and youth development, as well as team building and education. And so I want to welcome to the show Don Miller. If you want to, Don, you can go ahead and greet the listeners.
Hey, appreciate this opportunity. Thank you for having a chance to be on your show. I appreciate what you're doing, and I look at what you're doing to saving lives by talking about recovery, by talking about moving people forward. As for myself, I've been in this field for over 20 years of working with youth and adults in the area of chemical dependency, also mental health, dealing with youth and adults in all different arenas, whether they are in treatment centers or whether they're in outpatient or inpatient or dual diagnosis hospitals. I've worked with youth and families for quite some time. So I recognize the need to always educate our community about ways to get help and looking at some of those issues out there. And so I appreciate the opportunity to be able to have a dialogue tonight.
Well, and like I said, I thank you for coming on. And one of the things we normally do on the show is we ask that the listeners would join us in with, for a moment of silence for the still suffering addict and those who are still out there in the struggle. And so we're going to go ahead with our moment of silence, and ask that the listeners join in for the moment of silence if they will. So let's go ahead and have that moment of silence. All right. Appreciate that. Appreciate you all taking that moment of silence with us. And the other thing that we do is we like to start off the show with the Serenity Prayer. And for those who are familiar with the support groups, whether it's NA, AA, CA, all of the different support groups that are out there. If you have been in any of those meetings, you probably have heard the Serenity Prayer because it's a big part of the recovery process that that they share in the in what they call the rooms or the support group meetings. And so we're going to go ahead and have that do that Serenity Prayer, and then we're going to get right into today's show. So I'll go ahead and start off the Serenity Prayer. God, grant us the serenity to accept the things we cannot change, things that we can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Amen. Right. Well, I'm excited about today's show. Don, we the last, I say couple of weeks we've been talking about the importance of seeking help or the importance of getting help, because I truly believe that, until a person realizes that they, it's okay, it's okay to seek help. A lot of times people look at that and they feel like that's a sign of weakness, or, they have the wrong idea about seeking help, when there's help available. And a lot of times people don't know the help that's available because they never really go out and seek for help because, of what they feel others may think about them, or how people in the community, in their circle. But, sometimes we can't do this thing alone. And I'm one that, as one who's also, a recovering addict and alcoholic, I can attest to the fact that, addiction is something, I struggled with for a long time. And, I needed help, and this show is part of my recovery process. But, I still at times go to meetings, and I still seek out those who, may be able to, pour into my life, the things that I need to help me with this process, and help me in this journey, which is recovery. So, that's one of the things we've been talking about. And I kind of just, I wanted to, I know you deal with both aspects, what they call the dual diagnosis and, the chemical dependency, as well as, the mental health issues. So, I want you to kind of, share on, your experience, with that and how it would tie into, the importance of seeking help.
Well, one of the issues, and one of the ways of saying that individuals struggle with getting help because they self-medicate, and self-medicating is the drug or alcohol or whatever substance that they're abusing. And because they have not dealt with some other underlying issues, maybe some pain, maybe some rejection, maybe some abandonment, maybe some post-traumatic stress of some type, they go through life medicating themselves. So you have both situations, which really means trauma a lot of times. So you have the trauma itself, which is one piece. Then you have the drug, which is another piece, which is how you get into a dual diagnosis. You have a chemical dependency and you have a mental health issue together. But it's hard to get to the mental health piece because you're self-medicating with the drug. And so what happens is that once you really get help, then you can deal with both issues. But I think one of the reasons why a lot of people don't get help because of some of the stereotypical views that's out there. You know, when a person gets help when it comes down to addiction, people look at addiction as a bad word. But we all sometimes have an addiction for a lot of things. But those things that cause physical problems is the ones that always seem to be the ones that we look at mostly, which would be your drug and alcohol. And then the mental health piece, the stigma is that you're crazy if you go talk to someone. And that C word needs to be looked at differently because I look at it this way. If you don't talk to someone when you're dealing with an issue, that's where you really have problems. And so especially with men, we've been socialized to be strong. So if you go get help, they appear to be weak, when in actuality, the reverse is when you go get help, that's when you're showing your strength. That's when you're showing you need individuals, which is a part of life. And so for me, I think it's important that we always look at trying to help a person look at their lives. And when you see that their lives, like one of the part of the 12-step program is that recognizing that your life is unmanageable. And a person's life can be very unmanageable, but yet they try to hold on to the last thread. You know, it's almost like a guillotine effect. And what I mean by the guillotine effect, you know, when they took people to the guillotine, a lot of times the person has committed some kind of crime, but sometimes people deny it until they get in their head on the chopping block, that guillotine. Then they say, hey, you know, I really messed up. And so that's sometimes how addictions happen. So that's my spin on it, that I think that dual diagnosis part and even the chemical dependence part, a lot of that happens because of the self-medication. And so it's hard to be authentic. And authentic is really being the real you. And sometimes we don't know how to be our real self, you know?
Yeah, and I agree with that, you know, and you touched on something, you know, that you touched on, like the underlying issues. You know, a lot of times, you know, we as people who struggle with, you know, addictions and stuff, we don't even know at times, you know, why we do the things we do. And, you know, and like you said, the traumas, you know, the trauma that may have came in our youth, or because a lot of people, you know, they may have had, you know, abuse when they were young, or like you said, abandonment issues, or, you know, just different things that can be categorized as a trauma as when they were young. And so, you know, and sometimes your mind will block that stuff out, you know, and you know, all you know is that you know, you don't feel right. And so what happens is a lot of times, you know, or you don't feel, like they say, comfortable in your own skin, or, you know, you may have some type of anxiety disorder, you know, because a lot of times, you know, people will self-medicate to cover up that pain, you know, to cover up that feeling of uneasiness. And like I said, you know, they don't even know, you know, they're not aware of what is the underlying issue. And so, you know, we go on through life and continue to self-medicate, and our problems don't get better. You know, it just escalates. You know, one of the things that they say in the 12-step programs is that, you know, adding alcohol to any type of issue or any type of problem is like adding Miracle Grow to it. You know, it just makes your problem worse and grow, you know, 10 times, you know, worse than what it could be. And so, you know, our lives do become unmanageable, and and like I said, you can see the results of the chemical abuse or the chemical dependency, and so what ends up being what we thought was going to help us ends up being what actually escalates our problem, and and that leads us to to a lifestyle that we would not I wouldn't wish on anybody, because that addiction can take you very, very low. And I know for a fact that there are people out here that are caught up in the grips of addiction that are doing things right now that in their right state of mind they would not be doing. In their right state of mind they would not be stealing or cheating or robbing or doing whatever they need to do to feed and fuel that addiction. So I'm really glad to have you on the show, because you actually have been trained and licensed and been working in this field for, like you said, over 20 years. So you deal with people who, like myself, when I was of the addiction, active addiction, there were times when I was actually institutionalized. I had to go to treatment centers. I had to go to inpatient programs. And I can speak from a person that, has been in those programs, and not ready to accept the help that's available, that, it can be very I know it can be very disheartening sometimes for those who are working with us, because we can come up with all of the excuses and and the reasons why we don't need help, and even though everybody else can see that we need help, and so I know for for those who are working in the field, dealing with someone who is caught up in addiction and has and maybe have a mental health issue, that it could be very trying and difficult to work with people like that, especially if we're in denial, So but I'm gonna take a quick break, and then when we come back, we can pick up right there, where we just left off. Okay.
We'll be back.
All right.
It was like a 24-hour disappearance. It was only like, well, he's been gone 24 hours. And then I would come home. And then it got to be, well, damn, he been gone 2 days. And I'm talking about missing persons reports being made. Police being called looking for me. While using, we lived in another world. We experienced only periodic jolts of reality or self-awareness. It seemed that we were at least two people instead of one. Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. We ran around and tried to get our lives together before our next run. Sometimes we could do this very well, but later it was less important and more impossible. In the end, Dr. Jekyll died and Mr. Hyde took over. For a while, it was like I could pull it together. For a while, it was like I could stay and then I could go, and then I could stay and then I could go. But after a while, it was like the using became more important and the stopping became less important. It was a point where I had lost the ability to stop. Even when the money was gone, even when I had been gone 3 or 4 days and 5 days, even when I knew people were looking for me, it was like I lost the ability to stop. And I couldn't stop even when I wanted to stop. I tried to make myself believe that I loved my mother, but there was nothing that would get in my way of the drug. It was like a 24-hour disappearance.
Hey, did you know that you could advertise your business, ministry, or product during the Recovery Just for Today show? Expose your business to approximately 1.8 million sets of eyes and ears because we are on the platform of Never Had It So Good Sports Media Network. That's right. Yes, you can. We have some great rates and packages to meet just about any marketing budget. Give us a call at 678-342-6607 or find us on Facebook at Recovery Just for Today. Promote your business and help a wonderful cause. Now that's what I call a win-win.
Welcome back, listeners. This is Lloyd B, and you have tuned in to the Recovery Just for Today show. Today we have on the show guest Don Miller, and he is the host of Miller on the Mic, Love 860, Atlanta Inspirational Talk Radio, as well as he is the CEO of Young Bold Unique LLC, a youth and consultant agency, and he is also an author and a licensed mental health therapist. And we have been talking about the importance of getting help. We left off talking about how at times as a person that's trying to help those who are struggling with addiction, especially those who are in denial, how sometimes it could be very trying, to help those people because, when the person is caught up in the grips of addiction, they may not be seeing what other people see in their lives. They don't see it like other people see it. Don, I know you probably have dealt with people who have been in denial, and how do you get through to people who may be in denial, or what do you tell the family members of those who they see the problems, but it seems like their loved ones can't really see that their lives have become unmanageable?
The things you can do. One, you have to appeal to that person's life. And what I mean about that, is it more important for me to save your life or lose your life? And so you have to appeal to what are those things that may be causing you to lose your life, and what are those things that may be important that you're willing to lose in the process of losing your life. And so sometimes appealing to the individual, which the individual, again, may think that they're still okay. But when you start taking an inventory of their life, they can start looking at the things that they're losing. The second piece is getting the family to recognize it's important to support, but also you got to be able to confront issues, not necessarily in a negative way, but even in a positive way. I'm trying to save your life. I'd rather let you be mad at me for trying to save you than being mad at myself for not putting the effort to try to save you. In my own personal life, I've had to do an intervention on my brother. I had to do an intervention on my nephew. I've done an intervention on several people in my circle about getting them help. And so that has always been my thing of trying to rescue a person by helping them recognize, hey, you need help. And if they want help, help is there. And sometimes you got to let people lose things to get to the place to where they want help. Because sometimes they have to fall in order to be brought back up. It's almost like sometimes the breaking has to take place before the building takes place. And a lot of times people don't recognize that that's really how God works. He breaks and he builds. And sometimes when we look at addiction, there's a breaking of you to build you. And that's what's important. So if you go from a breaking and building process, then you can help people. People will be more better to respond to getting help. But there are going to be some that say, no, I don't want it right now. That's not what I want. That's not what I need. And all you do is put the information there before them and do your best to try to encourage them to get the help that they need.
Yeah, I agree. You know, one of the things that they, used to say is that, sometimes you have to, hit rock bottom, before, a person is ready to, actually try something,
Yeah, you got to be sick and tired to be sick and tired. That's what they say. When you're sick and tired of being sick and tired, you'll get some help. Exactly.
And and that's one of the things, one of the things that I've heard is that, and I didn't really understand it at first, but one of the reasons I try to have this show on the air is because everybody's rock bottom is different. Like you said, some people have to lose things. Some people may even lose loved ones, lose jobs, lose material things, lose health, relationships, so but at the same time, I heard somebody say a long time ago that, you don't have to, your rock bottom doesn't have to be death or a jail or institution. You can actually stop before you hit rock bottom. The people that have gone before you and have actually, went to those depths and some people have lost their lives and been brought back to life, from an OD or something like that. People that these are people that we can use as an example of where our life could go. But for some people, like you said, there has to be a breaking, because and I can speak for myself, it was when I was brought low. It was when I got sick and tired of being sick and tired. I didn't use the examples of others who had, went that low, and there was still, in my mind, I said, well, I'm not that bad yet. I haven't done that yet, or I haven't, I'm not that bad. And what ended up happening is my addiction took me to those depths, so that there was no more room for me, to say, well, at least I ain't done that. It took me, and it was trying to take me even lower, and it was trying to bury me. So, like you said, addiction is very cunning and very baffling, and it's they say that that the end results are always the same as jails, institution, or death if we don't find a new way to live. And the other thing I wanted to ask you about is you mentioned the intervention, and I myself have been part of the intervention. I was in the intervention with my father. I was and that was when I was young, and we all came together and we told our father how we felt about the addiction and how it was affecting him and us, and then as I got older and the addiction began to take over my life, my family did an intervention on me. So I'm familiar with the intervention, and like I said, before I mentioned, this was before, they have the show on now, called Intervention, and people can actually see what goes on behind the closed doors in the intervention. But I've experienced them firsthand, and as you mentioned, you've had interventions on family members and friends and trying to help them to get to a better place. And the intervention is one of many tools that are out there that families can use. Can you kind of share with family members and those who have loved ones that are struggling with addiction, what are some other things that they can resources out there in the community that they can find for help?
Sometimes intervention is one. Sometimes you have to, if it's a life-threatening situation where they're harmful to themselves and others due to that addiction, you may have to call police department and get what they call a 1013. Sometimes that's more mental health. I know in Florida at one point they used to call it Baker Act when it came down to alcohol or substance abuse addiction. So they got different codes and things that they have in different cities and states. But you can use that. Another thing you can do is call the 1-800 line for alcoholism and Narcotic Anonymous, things of that type. There are those ways, that you can kind of get a person involved. One of the things you really need to do is have a type of relationship with the individual that has an addiction. Because, as you were talking, the key word when people are having a problem with addiction, they always rationalize the state that they're in. Well, I didn't lose that. I'm okay right now. And they try to have, and I call it rationalizing and a false sense of who they are. Because that false sense of, I'm okay. Yeah, but you lost 75 pounds, but I'm okay. Well, you losing your job, but I'm okay. Well, your family done left you, but I'm okay. And so trying to help the individual look at all these things that's going on. And so you will find that they have an irrational thought process. And your goal is to try to help them look at things from a rational standpoint. And so the tools that I'm saying that you will use, you utilize the intervention process, you utilize your local mental health or substance abuse programs in your area. They have information that you can find that can help you develop that core relationship to get them to start looking at what's going on with themselves. And hopefully they will take that information and get the help that they need.
Yeah, and, the other thing, as you said, the mental health piece, how often, in your experience, have you seen those two go hand in hand, the chemical dependency and the mental health?
Most of the time, you're going to see at least probably between, and I would say you see 50 to 75% of people who have had some type of abuse problem may have some mental health somewhere there, or vice versa. Because, again, if I have anxiety and I'm not dealing with the anxiety in an appropriate manner, well, the way I deal with my anxiety, I drink. Because if I decide to drink, that means that I'm going to be a little bit more calmer. See, the main thing with substance abuse is mood altering. All of those drugs alter your mood in some kind of way. So if you can't deal with everyday stresses and strife, then you're going to use something to alter your mood. Even if it's to have a conversation, you use something to lighten you up, or you use something that cause you to go up, and because you're not dealing with these things on a natural basis, then you're utilizing drugs to mask a behavior that you may need to just deal with things. And because you're not, the drugs are there. So I would say, between 50 and 75%. I'm just throwing those numbers out. They may be less or higher, but you will find, if you look closely with your substance abuse, you'll find some mental health. And if you look closely with mental health, a lot of times you'll find some substance abuse. So they really go hand in hand a lot of times.
Yeah, I think those numbers are close because like I said, when I was in active addiction and coming up, I had a couple of visits to institutions where they had given me or placed me in a dual diagnosis situation where I was on a unit with those who had dual diagnoses, and it was staggering, man, how many people were in those units, and people had various mental health issues ranging from depression to anxiety to all the way from bipolar disorders to manic depression to, schizophrenia. And so, I saw firsthand, how, these mental health issues go hand in hand a lot of times with the addiction. And from my point of view, what you were just saying is, the coping skills that that people use, that have these issues, they, really in a sort of way, they're asking and they're reaching out for help, but don't even know it. When we begin to self-medicate, we're trying to cope with something that's going on with us that we may not even be aware of. And so, it's important. I feel it's very important, for people to get help, because there are people who are trained to recognize and to identify, the underlying issues that we may have. And like in my case, people think, oh man, I'm gonna be on medication. They're gonna dope me up, and they're gonna, and that's not always true. It's not. It can be something as easy as, they prescribe you an antidepressant for 6 months, and if that works for you and levels you off, and and they can address it that way, it's not a life sentence to medication, But if you never get treated for that issue, you never know, what your issue is. You continue to add. Say you have depression. And one of the things you do is you self-medicate with alcohol, which is a depressant. So, you compounding, your issue, by adding a chemical depressant on top of your mental issue. So, it's wise to seek out that help and find out if, hey, do I have some type of underlying issue that can be treated? And then in the process, find a way to cope with the feelings and the pain or whatever it is you may be going through. We may need some counseling, to counsel and help us to navigate through the trauma that we've dealt with. And so, I think, we've been touching on some good stuff, and I wanna go ahead and take another quick commercial, and then when we come back, we'll kind of to go into some of the things you've been doing in the community, and kind of share about some of the works that you're doing, and I just want you to kind of share on that. So we'll go ahead and take a quick break.
Just for the day I won't pick up, just for the day I don't give up, just for the day I won't pick up, and God I trust I won't pick up, just for the day I won't pick up, just for the day in God I trust, just for the day I won't pick up, and God I trust I don't give up. Yo, you can go and tell the weed man, he ain't got nothing that I need, man. I ride by that ABC store saying, hey, you won't be seeing me no more. Yo, you can go and tell the trap boy, yo, it's a rap boy. You are not welcome in me casa. You ain't got nothing for me, nada. No matter how hard life hits, I know where my light is. Yo, no matter how hard the crisis, yo, I know who Christ is. Yo, no matter what I won't pick up. Yo, no matter what I won't pick up. No matter what I won't pick up. Yeah, no matter what I won't pick up. Just for the day, no matter what I won't pick up.
A better network as explained by an abnormally large basketball hoop. When a wireless network has bigger capacity, more data gets through more quickly. Score. Better matters. Verizon.
You have just tuned in to Recovery Just for Today, every Thursday at 7 p.m. with your host Lloyd B and co-host Lloyd Sr.
Welcome back, listeners. we thank you for tuning in to the Recovery Just for Today show. And we'd like to thank Never Had It So Good Entertainment for the platform. Today we have on as a guest Don Miller, licensed mental health therapist and the CEO of Young, Bold, Unique, LLC, youth and adult consulting agency, as well as the host for over 10 years on Miller on the Mic radio with the radio show, which you can catch live on Love's 860, Atlanta's inspirational talk radio. Don, I wanted to ask you about some of the things that you've been doing in the community. Like you say, you've been working with adolescents and adults in the area of chemical dependency and mental health and other areas for over 20 years. And so if you don't mind, I'd like you to kind of share on some of the things that you are doing in the community, as well as what advice do you have for parents of those who or family members who have loved ones who may be dealing with some of the areas that you specialize in?
Okay. Thank you so much. I know you said that I'm the CEO of Young, Bold, Unique, which is a youth and adult consulting agency, and you can go see things about Young, Bold, Unique at www.youngboldunique.com. But I've just launched my new private practice, my mental health practice. It's called the E Effect. The E stands for to educate, empower, encourage, and enrich. And it's called the formula that will change your life. But I'd like you to go to the site. My website is eeffect.wix.com/eeffect. And that's my new counseling firm that I have. I provide individual, family, group counseling. So those are two of the other things that I have that's working right now. I'm in the process of releasing my 6th book later this year. It's going to be, it's going to be a great book. Really talks about the relationship that women have with their fathers and how it transcends into marriages and things of that type. But in reference to giving information for parents, I think parents need to be very mindful of their children. They need to know what's going on with their children and be able to have a relationship where they're talking to them on a consistent basis. But also be aware of yourself, because parents, you know you better than anybody else know you. So if your children are offsprings of you, they're bound to possibly have some of the same behaviors that you have. So be on the lookout for that. Family members who have individuals that are struggling with mental health or some type of substance abuse issue, get them help. Again, develop a good relationship with them. Be supportive, but don't be so punitive, but be supportive. Have a relationship with them. Talk with them. Love them. Provide support for them. And you also need support for yourself. So I would say for family members, you need to be involved in a support program, whether that's NA, whether that's Knocking On, Al-Anon, or any other support programs out there. You need to be engaged in those programs yourself. You got to take care of yourself. I say that you have to be able to do some self-care. If you are involved with those particular individuals, you need to take care of yourself also. And so those would be the things that I would tell a parent to do, or family members who have an individual that has a mental health or substance abuse issue.
Coming on the show. Now I know you I might put you on the spot. I don't know if you're ready for this one. But you got you're a poet, and you got a book out that I don't know. Was that the first book that Poetically Yours for the Heart Speaks?
Yes, Poetically Yours for the Heart Speaks is the first poetry book that I previously published. That's the first poetry book that I've written.
Okay. Now, do you have any a piece of a poem that you can
Wow.
recite?
I knew you was gonna do this, man. Let me recite let me recite a piece of a poem called "Beautiful Black Woman."
Okay.
Beautiful black woman, your colors of shade. Through the test of time, your beauty never fades. The texture of your hair, cut curl no other can compare. The softness of your skin, various shades with an exceptional blend. Through struggle and despair, you came through. There would be no me without you. Through struggle and pain, minute to hour, you have been our hope. Beautiful black woman, the essence of our existence.
All right. I appreciate that, man. That was nice, man. I didn't want to put you on the spot, but but that's part. He has. Don is very modest, man. Y'all don't let Don fool you. He is very modest. He got, like he said, the 5th book, not the first book. He said the 5th book. So it's coming out. So he has 4 books already out. One is called Poetically Yours, For the Heart Speaks Between Mother and Sons, A Journey of Healing. That's the first one, right?
No, that's the books are Poetically Yours, For the Heart Speaks, Between Mothers and Sons, A Journey of Healing, A Better View, Life, Love, Family, and Friends, some that I have, One to Grow On, and then the 5th book, A Comprehensive Guide for Developing Successful Programs Before School, After School, and Summer, and then the 6th book will be coming out. So it's really 5 already.
Okay. So if you want to let them know where they can actually get the books, that's cool too.
They can go to youngbowunique.com and they can see actually the books and actually a description of those books. They can go to youngbowunique.com.
Okay.
Or they can call me at 404-693-7483. Yeah,
I appreciate that, and one thing I wanted to share too. You made a good point with the Al-Anon or the Narconon, and I think those are some of the programs that are out there for family members in particular. And this show, we talked about getting help, for the individual who is struggling with addiction or those who may need help with the chemical dependency as well as the mental health piece. But, one thing we want to also express is that, there is help out there for the family member too, and lots of times, you will need that help. You will need that support because, the dynamics of the relationship will change, especially if somebody is getting help. Say someone goes and they actually they go and get help. They get clean, they get sober, and they start working the program. They come back home, the dynamics of that relationship, and so if the family member or the loved one has not begun to work on themselves, that could be, very detrimental to both the person who's newly in recovery as well as the relationship in general, because a lot of stuff has gone on, could have gone on in the process of a person getting to the point of actually going to get help. A lot of pain, a lot of hurt, a lot of a lot of things could have been done to devastate and hurt that relationship. A lot of scars, a lot of wounds could have been inflicted, and sometimes, family members. I'm gonna tell you like this: Al-Anon, Narconon, and these other support groups, they will help you to understand, better the addiction. and also help you to get that self-help that you need, so that you don't, so that you don't get lost, and so that you don't get caught up in losing yourself in the process of trying to see somebody else get help. Because a lot of times you hear from people that have family members that are struggling with addiction. What's one of the main things that you hear, Don? You probably have heard it many times. Like, I don't understand.
I don't understand. I don't know.
I don't understand.
I don't know, and I can't believe. And ain't nothing wrong with them. They just acting, because a lot of times parents sometimes have problems with their children having problems because they're looking at themselves. They asking themselves, what did I not do? What could I have done differently? And it's not me, because it feels like it's a campaign against them. And really it's not about them. It's about the individual that is struggling with whatever that issue is. And sometimes family can sabotage a person's recovery directly or indirectly just by not understanding what that issue really is. They can sabotage it and not even recognize. They can drink. Person has a drinking problem, but everybody got alcohol at the event, and the person is in recovery.
Exactly. And those are some of the things you learn in those support groups, is how to take care of yourself, as well as not to impede or enable or sabotage, different things that you could do, because, as a family member, you want that person to get help, and if that person goes and gets help and begins that recovery process, they're going to need a supporting cast. And if you don't know how to support them properly, like he said, like Don said, you could very well be instrumental in that person relapsing or having a hard time in the recovery process. And, but more importantly, when Don said, self-care, that self-care for you yourself, to get some care for yourself, give yourself a break. You know what I mean? You've been struggling with trying to, get this person to, get on the right track and, to see what they're doing to their lives, and you just don't understand why they're doing what they do. Guess what? There are support groups out there with people who have gone through that and who have made it to the other side, and they can tell you how to do the same thing. And, so I wanted to touch on that, those support groups that are out there for the family members, because I think that's important, and I don't think a lot of people don't know that they're out there,
No, they don't. They don't. And there are groups all over the place. There are support groups at some of your local churches, some of your libraries, some of your mental health centers, your substance abuse programs. There are support groups all over, because, when you start dealing with chemical dependency and mental health, those are some major social issues that we're having. They are medical issues. They are some of the two top issues that we're losing a lot of people to. People are dying from these particular issues, and if people are not getting the help, they're really dying in silence. And so we want to put not just a spotlight, we want to put a floodlight on substance abuse and mental health, because we know that people need to get help, and people could live productive lives if they get the help that's necessary for them to move forward.
Yeah, and I second that, and that's one of the reasons why we have this show out, and one of the reasons I wanted you on the show. And the last thing I wanted to touch on before we go out, I'm gonna kind of close this out, but because we only have a few minutes left. But you mentioned the church, and I want to say, because I don't want people to think that that as one of the resources that are out there, because I didn't mention it. But the church is a resource. The church is a resource for those who are out there who who may be struggling with it. But at the same time, like we said, there are some mental health issues that may be underlying, as well as the chemical dependency. And for me, God used a cocktail approach. And when I say cocktail approach, I mean He used the church community. He used the substance abuse support groups. He used the clinical side, And so for me, one of the reasons I advocate, the support groups as well as the church community is because I know that for some people, you may need that cocktail approach. You may need, one thing may not be just enough for you. You know what I mean? And so we don't want. I don't want anyone to get it twisted and think that we're not saying that the church is not a resource, but at the same time, there are some things that that the church may not be equipped to handle, and therefore they may need to refer you to get some other outside help. And that's nothing. There's nothing wrong with that.
Because you want to be able to have. There's no one panacea, one thing for one size don't fit all. But we got a size that fit. We got something that fit every size. See, that's the way you got to look at it. We got something to fit every size, but one size don't fit all. Meaning that there's enough opportunities out there to get the work done, to get you the help that you need. So you may not be a person that want to be in church. Well, we may have a library where you could feel less threatened, or we have you at another place. The whole deal is about you getting help. It doesn't matter where that help comes from, as long as you get the help. And so we want to make sure that you are open and available to all the opportunities out there to get the help that you need. I appreciate you having me on your program tonight.
Oh, man, my pleasure, man. And I'm probably going to have you on again. I want to have you on again, and, maybe we can talk more in depth. And but I appreciate you taking time out today, and I'll talk to you. I'll talk to you soon offline for some of the other big things we got coming up. And so we're going to go ahead and close out. I appreciate you, man. So we're going to go ahead and close out, listeners. All right, thank you. And once again, listeners, I thank you all for tuning in, and we'll see you next week, same time. And so y'all have a blessed night.
Good night.
On behalf of myself, Lloyd B, and Lloyd Sr, we'd like to thank everyone for tuning in tonight to Recovery Just for Today. I'd like to thank Never Had It So Good Entertainment for the platform and opportunity. And we'd like to leave you with one thought, and that's just for today. You can find a new way of living. There is hope. We do recover. Now stay tuned, because coming right after us at 8 p.m. is none other than Minister Annie Bell and Irene, Blog Talk Radio. It's sure to be a dynamite show. So tune in and have a blessed night.
Geico presents sharing versus oversharing. Today, Bridget Griffin shared a video of her daily yoga routine, 2 self-help articles, and her new blog called Build Your Inner Bridge with Bridge. Girl, your sharing has turned into oversharing. No worries, Bridge. Geico has some info worth sharing with your 7 blog followers, like how you could save money on your car insurance, update your policy, and report a claim just by visiting geico.com. How's that for building your inner bridge? Bridge? Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.